actually, I think I like this better because now I can just chat and you can let people in. All right, it's 1 o'clock. So Justin, if you want to hit record, Corey, it looks like he's almost ready to sit down.
Yeah, I just got it now. We good?
We lost Corey.
No, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
He's under the table.
I'm here. It looks like he's under the table. That's so weird. Well, go ahead and let everybody in, and then we'll do some intro stuff, leads and needs, and then I think Tomas has a little bit of an update as well on how some of the direct marketing is going.
Perfect. Here we go.
Sweet.
Let's do this.
Let's do it, bank robber.
You need money. I get you.
Yeah, you look like you're about to rob a bank.
I know, isn't he?
Looks hilarious. Hey, Nido's on from halfway around the world.
Hi, how's it going?
What's up, Nido?
It's
Hey,
Nadal.
Nadal, yes, thank you. Yes.
We'll get it right
Nadal.
one day.
Yeah.
Won't happen again.
We'll get him right. We'll get him right.
How's it going?
We're doing good. We're doing good. How's everything for you?
Yeah, good. Good.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, glad to have you. Good to see your face. You still on lockdown out there? Or are you doing good?
No, I'm done with lockdown. I just got back from dinner. Looks like you're back from Montana or wherever you were.
Yeah, we're stopping in here for just a few moments. We are gonna head. We're changing directions, so we actually did Montana, Yellowstone, Grand Tetons. Went up to South Dakota for Mount Rushmore with Trump, and then Badlands, kind of by Minnesota. Then headed back and did some jet skiing and boating. So we're stopping into our Seattle house just to change clothing and check mail, and then
Wash everything.
Wash everything, and then we head back. Now this time we're heading south, so we're gonna go down to my in-laws' place, which is in Northern Cal. It's 108 degrees, so that's why we're changing clothes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then we'll go south from there, kind of come back around Vegas, and then yeah. So we'll be back by August.
Oh, so, I guess it must be nice to be a real estate investor, right?
Oh, dude, it's pretty nice. I'm fortunate up here. We have a really good team. We got Tomas, Chris, Linda. We have a good team that just kind of keeps everything rolling. So I can pretty much do everything from our rig, except for when there's no cell reception. That's the only problem.
Yeah, you got to get a portable satellite to follow you around.
Yes, in fact, I am looking into those as we speak. So.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah, it's nice. And my wife actually, she gets car sick when she sits, so she actually has to drive. So it works out really well. The thing is 40 feet long though, so she gets a little intimidated, but it works. As long as we're going forward and the roads are straight, she's all good to go.
So does it get claustrophobic living in that? Because there's 4 of you, right? 3 or 4 of you.
There's 4 of us, and we have another family that's traveling with us. But no, it's not, because it all slides out, so it becomes bigger than an apartment. It's huge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing. Pretty amazing stuff. Try it. Next time you come back, you can rent one. They're awesome.
All right. When is your next trip so I can catch a ride with you?
Yeah. We take off tomorrow. Come on up.
2021.
That's awesome. Right on. Hey, Justin Rank.
Hey, Kikoa. How you doing, bud?
We're doing good, man. Look at that fork and spoon behind you. Does that mean you're always hungry?
I think so, yeah. This is a house of good food.
I love it. We're coming over. Retreat at your house.
Excellent. Anytime.
That's awesome. Hey, Loretta and Jim, how's the Big Island today? They're eating good food. They must have stopped by Justin's house.
Nice.
Ashley Wasson, how's life? I don't think anybody wants to talk to me except Justin. So Justin, how's it going?
It's going well, man. I'll speak for everybody. It's going well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. How's the market in your opinion, based on everything you're seeing?
I love it. Seller's market feels good.
Yeah.
Feels like smells like money.
It's a really good market right now. It's pretty exciting. We're all having a good time. It's exciting. Cool.
I didn't know how to unmute. I was using the mobile app, so I was struggling with technology. I'm good. How are you, Kikoa? I'm jealous. I'm honestly super jealous of your venture. I'm like, I'm going to go to the mainland and go get an RV.
Do it. You know what we're going to do is actually, I'm going to start another little business venture just because I don't have enough. And I'm going to start renting out RVs. So I'm going to buy a C-Class and you are welcome to rent it. And then we're going to actually, I was thinking of pre-packaging tours based on where you should have ice cream, what gyms to work out, what destinations to see, and kind of go from there. So you can be my first customer.
Hey, can you let me in, bro?
Was that Corey?
Yeah, can you let me in on my computer?
That's Justin. Justin is our administrator.
He's all around MVP.
He is, man. It's pretty solid. It's good stuff.
I'm here. I'm here. There we
Troy
go.
Dennis is out there in the sunshine. Looks nice out there. What's up, Troy? And William Neverman. Are you on Oahu right now or are you in Los Angeles?
Yeah, we're still in Oahu. We just booked a one-way, so hopefully we never leave.
That's one way to do it. Perpetual quarantine, yeah?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where are you staying at? North Shore?
We're in town right now. Yeah. Our 2 weeks are expired, so we were on the North Shore for 2 weeks, and now we're in town hanging out with Chelsea folks.
Right. Are you at 909?
No, 1550.
Oh, sorry.
Gotcha. I think Corey.
Hey, how was the Trump rally, Kikoa? Was tons people there or no?
The Trump thing in Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, was it busy? What was the vibe?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I don't know how we got selected, but we were one of 7,000 people. Like 150,000 people tried to go. And so somehow we were fortunate enough to get selected. So we went. And inside the main arena, there was no social distancing and no mask because that's just Trump. And so we didn't want to do that. So we sat in the overflow section, which was all by video. And it was really nice. It was like a beach. So we came fully with mats and chairs, you know, very Ala Moana local style, coolers, food, blankets. And so we just found a corner and we had kind of the whole area to ourselves and people were like 30 feet away from us. And it was awesome. The fireworks were amazing. Trump's airplane did a couple flybys and every branch of military did some sort of kind of a presentation and super inspiring. But yeah, and it was interesting. And of course, South Dakota is a high Republican Trump fan state. So they were, it was really interesting to watch. And his speech was amazing, which means he has a great speechwriter because he doesn't usually speak that eloquently, in my opinion. So yeah, it was pretty solid. We had a good time. Encourage all of you, if you've never been to Mount Rushmore, man, that thing is solid. It's pretty exciting. Cool stuff. Well, cool. Let's get started if we're ready. Corey, are you ready? Corey disappeared. I think we're ready.
Good to go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Well, welcome everybody. We're glad that you're with us again. It's awesome. It's summertime. Everybody's having fun. Lots of travels, but real estate's doing good. So just kind of a first question to throw out to everybody, and hopefully all of you will jump in, you know, that have any type of sense. But as you know, right now, just kind of globally on the real estate market side, the economy is looking very uncertain because there are many states that opened and now they're going backwards and they're shutting back down again. And so there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unemployment happening again. Kind of what's your thoughts? Have any of you kind of listened to anything, heard anything, read something, or do you have a kind of a perspective on what you're thinking is going to happen in this next season of real estate in light of what's happening with the pandemic, with the real estate market? You know, anybody got some things that you'd like to chime in and kind of share some insights on? Everybody needs to go get some coffee.
Hey, Kikoa, I got some insights.
Solid. Thank you.
I just got off a conference yesterday and they had a bunch of lawyers on there. And the association, they said that for Hawaii, the foreclosures are not going to start till next year in January. So if anyone's looking to get some foreclosure from the association, it'll be in next year in January.
That's awesome. Tell us what the association is.
Association is people, you know, like for condos that collect maintenance fees. anyone back on maintenance fees, then those are the people that's going to be foreclosed on.
Yeah. Awesome.
Non-judicial.
Yeah.
Non-judicial. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Hey,
Yeah. Anybody else hearing something similar?
yeah, I mean, I have a perspective just in the Seattle area anyway. I mean, obviously this is a major tech hub for major companies, Microsoft, Amazon, et cetera. I mean, Amazon's been hiring like gangbusters throughout this entire pandemic, and it seems like they're doubling down right now. They seem to be hiring even more aggressively than previous to the pandemic, which is pretty crazy. But also, I think it's important to note, at least in this area, a lot of companies that were having, put hiring freezes in place, they're lifting those hiring freezes. And so you're starting to see jobs start opening back up, at least in the technology space. And so obviously in an area like Seattle, it's heavily reliant on these major companies. And so that's been a positive note. So. Yeah.
That's awesome. What have you seen numbers for unemployment lately for the Northwest?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. It was a stat that I was following. And so maybe for everybody in the market that you're in, take a look at how the unemployment's kind of moving. And like Troy is saying, in the Northwest, we're starting to see the unemployment rate decline because so many are now hiring. So that's interesting. And restaurants are opening again. But what's interesting is as we come to the fall, at least in the Northwest, a lot of the school districts are really battling as to how they're going to operate to open because COVID cases are still increasing. So kind of interesting, but you're right, Troy. The Northwest market right now is so strong. Real estate's really strong as well. So that's pretty exciting.
Hey, Keikoa?
Yeah, Chris.
I'll add on to what Troy said because one of the things that I think is kind of hot is the lower income type properties. So the Section 8 properties, the properties like we've got the house that we are closing on is, we got it for $250, and we're going to be able to flip that with minimal amount of money into it, but we're going to be able to flip that because there's just nothing in this market for $350, $375, any of those that you can find. And then the other piece is that the rentals, a lot of the rentals, for those Amazon folks and those folks that are at the tech, they can pay, first and last and a down payment at, $7,000. That's easy for them. But there's a huge market of people that have to support them that cannot pay that. And so we're going in on a room, that rooming house that I showed you guys. We're trying to get that in, under contract.
Nice. How are you sourcing some of these deals that are, as you said, kind of the lower end, easy, low hanging fruit type deals?
When you say sourcing, what do you mean?
How are you finding them? So that way you can't pick them.
We've got some folks that are kind of just, people that are driving by. I, of course, can get on the MLS. We drive everywhere I go. I just, if I see it, either my wife or I, one of us is reaching out the window, taking a picture, finding the name, finding the address, and, we're sending them a letter.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Are you using any applications or software like Deal Machine or anything like that?
To find the information on the house, we're using HomeSnap. And then I put them into FreedomSoft. And I know there's others, and just FreedomSoft is one that I have. And it just, I've watched all their videos, so why not stick with it? I know there probably is something that's better or worse or whatever, but I think the time is now. So unless there's something that's way better, I'm not moving from them,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the software and the application industry, there's just so many different resources for investors. Yeah. And the software and the app that works the best is the one that you work the most.
Yeah.
So
that's because there's downsides to every one of them and upsides to every one and all of that. But if you figured it out, this isn't rocket science, I don't think. But
yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. Will you throw those two names on the chat just in case anybody's kind of looking for an app? There's a lot of them out there, and especially if you're driving for dollars like Chris is, I think that's awesome.
Okay, you mean the one that we just look at for the houses?
Just anything that you're using kind of as a resource, just so that way we can all learn from.
Okay, there's the first one, and then wait, I can't spell. Hold on.
That's all right. You're in real estate investing. We don't need to spell. We just have to do numbers.
Okay. And the only reason why I'm not on video is because I'm eating right now. So
That's all right. Corey's eating and he's on video. He's making us all hungry, so it's all good.
Okay.
We're all family. That's awesome. Indar, what you thinking about the economy right now, based on what you're seeing in Hawaii?
I was just thinking about it. Hey guys, how's it going? I think we have a great economy. I think a lot of us investors out there, we can start kind of pushing properties to sell even faster. I just actually emailed my VA assistant to list, 8 properties to pre-sell them. We just sold pre-sold 2 homes just on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, a $1.25 million house, who sells a home on Facebook like that? So we just did that on a couple homes because of the low inventory that we have here in Hawaii, because of the shortage of homes, and especially in particular areas like, for example, in Kailua, we just 2 houses both sold real fast before even hitting the market because of the low inventory. And of course, with the great rates, all these people are getting these great loans out there, the 2.5 interest rate loans. So they're hungry for deals, and we don't have them for people. So you guys as investors out there, take the 30 minutes it takes you to go throw it on Craigslist or Facebook and pre-sell some of these houses even before you'll get them out there. I just made a video yesterday, and that was kind of my goal, to pre-sell them. And no offense to your realtors, but if I can cut down that, that realtor cost of 60, 70 grand, it makes a deal a lot better for me. And it's awesome to be flowing right into escrow as you finish a project. We all know that's some of the best feelings right there to have. But I think our low inventory is really, really, it's going to drive our market with these great rates. Especially here in Hawaii, we already had a low inventory. To knock it down another 25%, so start dabbling in those markets you guys know are really desirable. We just did another one in Waianae that we're going to go into escrow over asking. It's kind of crazy to hear with what's going on, to have that kind of.
Yeah.
Hey, Keiko,
yeah.
Can I add just one thing? Because I don't take offense at it, but I'm a realtor as well. And so one of the things that I try to say to people is, the reason why I did it is every transaction I get a commission on. But here's the other side. When you're working with investors, if an investor brings you a house and there's a 3% commission, why not give that investor back some of that money?
Yeah.
And so I don't need to make 3% on a house that because there's a young lady that I sold the house to a couple years ago. 3% commission. She brought the house. She knew she wanted it. She had the financing. All I had to do was write the paperwork up.
Yeah.
I gave her 2% credit on that house.
Yeah.
And so you can work the deals with your agent as well. I know that there are, bad agents, whatever, but like there was another call that I was on and somebody said, well, there's just no value in being an agent as an investor. But I make 3% on every transaction, or 2.5 on every transaction that I do. I mean, why is that not value?
Yeah. There's lots of perspectives on that. But I think the point that you made is that as all investors, it's good to find an investor agent that understands the investor space, that doesn't mind discounting based on longevity and long-term relationships. So I think that's really important.
I do bring in an agent, and we'll pay them. If they find a buyer, of course, pay them 3%. Just throw it on active right into escrow if they do, particularly if that agent finds a buyer. But if you can, I'm saying if you can cut out the agent and have a buyer and you're working directly with an escrow agent.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Indar, what you're saying is a really good lesson for all of us too, just in terms of pre-selling. Corey and I are doing that with our Makaha buildings as well, our homes, because you get somebody on the hook earlier. You don't have to worry about time on market, and then they can come in and be like, you know what, I think I want this color, and just some minor modifications. It saves you from guessing, right? Sometimes we're just all doing gray and white quartz, and after a while you're like, man, it's just hard because we don't know exactly what the buyer wants. So sometimes that pre-sale is a really good way to go. And so I think that's great. I think there's a thing in Hawaii right now, Indar, and some of the others in Hawaii is just what Indar's saying in terms of low inventory is really solid. The challenge is that the low employment that's going on, or unemployment that's increasing because of all the tourism being down, is something to really watch out for. And I think if we price our products well, and like Indar says, you pre-market, then it's really an awesome opportunity. to try to get somebody locked in before the economy changes too drastically to where we're really worried about not being able to sell our products. Indar, just real quick for you, what's your thoughts in relative to the tourism industry and, you know, a lot of unemployment happening now? What do you feel like is going to be the ramifications on top of short sales and foreclosures?
Well, I like something that Bearded Brandon was talking about, that in these kind of markets, when the economy starts going harder like this, that, you know, the richer, everyone kind of moves down. So like the lower class homes tend to will sell, because maybe that guy looking at that $500,000 house, he's going to start looking at the $400,000 house. So for us, we started looking at, you know, the lower class. We're not doing much of the $1 million crazy deals that I do. I don't actually like them even, but we'll start looking for those lower class homes. And to me, a lot of the tourism industry, those guys working in the hotels, they weren't, no offense to anyone, they weren't the guys buying our houses. You know, those are generally the renters. Yes, I'm just generalizing here, but those people that got unemployed, they weren't the people really that I am marketing to here in Hawaii. You know, they are more the rental pool per se, that I rent to, which is great. But the people, I mean, there's so much people out there still looking to buy a home, because I think they have jobs and they are still working however they are working. I know our tourism industry is hurt pretty bad, but that's, to me, I feel that's kind of not the pool I'm looking at here in Hawaii, especially with the price values of our homes. You know, you guys know, I mean, a $500,000 house is a deal, right? So
no, I think it's a good point, and I think that's what we're all trying to watch is, you know, how that impacts. But you're right. I think we feel the same way in the Northwest. You know, we're trying to figure out what's going on in Vegas. Is that as unemployment rate goes up, then there's going to be more renters. They're just kind of moving around. They're kind of not buying anymore. But as there's more renters, there's more demand on rental properties. So then all of a sudden now the rental income goes up, which means the valuation of the property goes up. So for those of us who are investors and are just flipping, it's actually a good season to even consider, you know, how do we start holding some of these assets? How do we start making them rentals? Because if the exit strategy is just to sell it off right now, that's a decent, you know, strategy if we can get some good money for it. But at the same time, it may not be a bad strategy. Actually hold a few of them, pull all our cash out.
I feel we never really talk much about renting on here and looking at rentals. I'm actually, that's my new focus, is looking at, we're doing a lot more BRRRRs. We follow a couple basic rules. The 1% rule, for all you guys that don't know, the 1% rule, whatever you buy, if you buy a $100,000 house, you should be able to make $1,000 rent. It's just a quick rule, dirty rule of thumb. Obviously you should run it in some kind of spreadsheet, but it's a quick, just when you're looking at numbers. And then we also follow the 70% rule. We make sure we try and buy, and we're all in at 70%, including rehab now, below the ARV, below the market value, so we can refinance out. So, you know, those are really good rules to follow when we're looking for rentals. We got our 12th home now in Ohio, and 3 now here in Hawaii. So I'm actually looking more into getting doors, you know. That's the new passion.
That's awesome. That's definitely the way to go. Well, hey, anybody got any leads and needs real quick? And then we're gonna get the chance to kind of dive in a little bit with Alex out of Los Angeles on some deals. But any leads, needs? Thanks, Indar, by the way, for all of that. That's awesome.
I'm not sure if he came, but I have someone I'm selling his condo, and he needs to 1031 exchange it and identify a property soon. And he's gonna have 130,000 he wants to place. He wants a double-digit cap. I know some people have sent me some stuff. I just don't know if it's still available. But I'll put it in the Facebook group if someone does have something. Let me know, and I'll get you guys in contact with each other.
Sweet. Double-digit cash-on-cash return. Any particular states?
Honestly, he doesn't necessarily need it to be an emerging market. So he just wants to place the funds quickly. So no particular state.
Awesome. Good stuff. Put it in there, and then I'm sure somebody will have something. Anybody else? Leads?
45 days. 45 days.
Perfect. Indar, you got a question in the chat
too.
Javier had a question in the chat that we can jump on while everyone's thinking about what the leads and needs and good deeds. And I remember who said that. It was Troy. Last week, I couldn't remember who added on the good deeds, but I love that.
That is a good one. Go ahead, Corey. Take that question.
Okay, so Javier asked, what do you think the effect or impact of more and more employees having the ability to work remotely from anywhere will have on the real estate industry going forward? I think definitely commercial, might take a hit on that. Any office space or office buildings. I know a lot of the tenants in our space here, I haven't seen them since this whole thing went down. So I don't know. I think commercial will take a hit. Might be a slow burn though. I don't think it's going to be something drastic, but anyone else have any thoughts on that?
I got some thoughts on it. I was listening to Kevin McElroy, or I forgot his how to say his name, but he works with Robert Kiyosaki, and he was saying that because of all this, like people working remotely at home, everyone's going to move out of the city to move in the suburban areas so that because they realize that they don't have to travel to work anymore. So they can actually just work at home. So they're going to be looking. So if they have a 3-bedroom, they're going to be upsizing to a 4-bedroom so that they can have an office at home, work at home.
I think that's really true. And I think people who got stuck in condos and had to sit inside for 2 months realized that was not enough square footage. And now everybody wants to bail out of the town and go get bigger houses with yards, swimming pools, workout centers in their houses, and home theaters. So it'll be interesting to see what that impacts for sure.
Okay, so we got something. In fact, I was meeting with Dante just yesterday, and if there's any wholesalers out there that need to push their deals, we can help wholesale that for you and bring buyers to the table. And also, if you're getting and then normally if you co-wholesale a deal if you bring a deal to another wholesaler and they bring the buyer and you guys close, normally you split the fee, right? It's only fair. But for us, we're more thinking about the investor, and if we can service them on the financing side, then that's no problem for us. We'll help you wholesale the deal. You can keep your fee, and we'll service them through the loan, right? And also another thing is Dante and we have a large network of realtors here in Hawaii as well, and also in different states. So maybe feel free to reach out to us if you're wholesaling properties in different states, and we can see if we have a network out there that we can help you push deals through. And mainly is if you have a deal, sometimes you have a deal where the homeowner wants to sell, but they're not really distressed. So they're not going to sell it to you at the price that you need it. So say for instance, a property is valued at 600,000 and you need it at maybe 375, but the lowest they can go is 500. And they don't want to list it on the market or anything, then we can push that to our network of realtors who have retail buyers that might want to buy it at like 550 or something. And you can make a pretty sizable wholesale fee, right? So just putting it out there for the wholesalers that don't throw away all the leads, because we might be able to help you kind of wholesale it, and wholesale it to a retail buyer where they get a little bit of equity too.
Awesome.
So hit us up, message me on the side, and then we can put you, on the list, and we can let you know how we're thinking about how this will work out, just to help wholesalers, make the most off of every lead that comes through their pipeline.
Nice. That's awesome. Speaking of leads a little bit, Tomas, you want to give a quick update on how the leads went with the SMS and the direct mail campaigns that Ruby and you did about a week ago? How's that looking? And then if anybody has any questions about the SMS or the direct mail, throw it in the chat real quick. If anybody actually did one, see how things went.
Yeah, so with the SMS campaign, I don't know if you guys can hear me or not, but with the SMS campaign, I haven't gotten any deals under contract yet. And if you all remember, I only sent out like just shy of 250 messages, so not that many. But Ruby is not on the call today, but he did text me an update on his end for the mailer he did. Let me just pull it up really quickly. He said they secured a listing contract because we weren't able to negotiate cash and have presented 3 offers, no wholesale contracts yet. From one mailer, we received 20 calls, 15 did not want to sell, 4 walkthroughs, 3 offers, and 1 listing, and 1 is set on follow-up. So it seems like the mailer actually did pretty well on that one.
Interesting. Cool. Good stuff. Any
Yeah,
debrief from you on what we do different next time?
For myself?
Just in the SMS, you know, so we got nothing off the SMS. Would you change anything, or is it just a matter of let's just hit it again so that way we have another hit?
Oh, just keep doing more. I mean, I send out 250 texts a day, but I know like the real pros in the space that are doing like 10 to 20 deals a month are sending out just shy of 10,000 texts a day, and they have 3 full-time texters. So it's a big numbers game, you know? So I think my only takeaway from that little small batch that we did is that we just need to simply do more. I think the list that we targeted was super motivated, but it's just a numbers game at this point.
Gotcha. Nice.
Hey,
Anybody
Kiko,
else?
I have a question regarding wholesaling. I was actually curious, you know, if there are any wholesalers in Hawaii and how, you know, how much success they've had, and if they use similar strategies to the guys on the mainland, or if they've had any other challenges or successes kind of specific to the Hawaii market. Just because I also now invest in Indianapolis, and I was blown away just by how many wholesale deals are flying around in that market. But I don't see much here in Hawaii. So I was just trying to get a local's perspective of how wholesaling is going in the islands.
Nice. Great question, John. Anybody a wholesaler on from Hawaii on the Coffee Talk, or anybody work with one particularly?
Well, I've just been trying to target mastering the whole wholesaling thing. I'll agree. I'm finding a lot of my offers obviously are not where the seller wants to be. So that's why I'm really intrigued by just what Corey had to say about kind of working together and wholesaling deals. But yeah, I'll come across some leads. A lot of the time my offers just aren't enough for the seller. But I have been noticing, like, you know, I'm in Facebook groups with other investors from all over the US, and I'm noticing, like, it seems like you said, in different states it may be a lot easier to wholesale deals. But you know, I feel like I need to learn different strategies for deal structure. So that's something, you know, if I probably had more knowledge about different ways to structure a deal, you know, there's always different ways to make it work. So I'm still trying to learn more about different ways to structure deals.
Nice.
So coming from the mainland, I've found that here in Hawaii as a wholesaler, there's not enough juice in the squeeze most of the time. So it actually makes more sense for people to just take the deal down and either partner up or just flip it themselves. Because you can see in the numbers that you're trying to create a deal that profits anywhere north of $80,000 for the end buyer who's going to flip it. And you may only be able to get 5, 10, 15 grand as a wholesaler. It just doesn't make sense because there's so much less deals here to actually acquire because people are hyper aware of the value of their dirt alone. So that's why, John, you see in Indianapolis, I mean, yeah, there's $25,000, $50,000 houses everywhere where people just want to get out from underneath them. Whereas here in Hawaii, people, their entire life savings has gone into that home, and they see that as everything. And they may not even be able to afford to move next door. Whereas Indianapolis, they can kind of just pick their stuff up and go rent a unit. They can go buy again. And there's just so many more options when the price point's a lot lower. That's what I've found here is when it comes to wholesalers. I know Keith Gillespie's got a team of 8,000 calls going out a month, and he's struggling to get deals. And he's strictly focused on just assigning deals, let alone taking them down. So it's just a completely different market here when it comes to strategies. Jess, I see you nodding your head. It's just, the deals are fatter here when you can get them, but they're fewer and farther between for that reason.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like the volume is definitely a lot lower than like if you're in maybe Phoenix or something, you know, where guys are doing like 100 deals a month, making like $5,000 here, 10 grand there. But in Hawaii, it's definitely, the volume is definitely lower, but it's definitely, you can definitely make a great living off of wholesaling alone. And Keith might be coming into a nice big one off one of his marketing campaigns that I think he's going to close pretty soon. Last year we wholesaled one for about 50 grand, and I know we just did a loan for somebody. Couple of our guys on here. I don't know if they're on today, Richie guys, but the wholesaler on that one is going to make like 150 grand on that deal. So, I mean, you know, you have to do like 100 deals maybe in the mainland to make the same amount as one. It's just like house flipping here. We don't do volume, but we take chunks, right? Because it's bigger equity. So,
you know, it's tough too, is finding the buyer for here in Hawaii, because Corey, I mean, we all know each other. There's like you, me, Richie, we're all friends. So there's only a handful of guys that can handle a lot of these deals that these wholesalers are trying to sell off, you know. And me trying to wholesale a deal off myself, I'm not going to wholesale the quick, easy, paint the wall one. I'm going to wholesale that real difficult one that I don't want to do. And there's only a few guys that can handle that kind of, you know, work. Compared to mainland, there's like millions of investors and flippers.
Yeah. Anybody else a wholesaler in Hawaii that feels a little bit differently or has a different experience? Like it's been pretty aggressive and lots of investors willing to take down deals? Guess not. Everybody's kind of in the same boat. So yeah, that's good. Interesting stuff.
Nobody like talked to you today.
I know, right?
How come? Because you left us last week. That's why.
Oh, sorry. Had to. No reception at Mount Rushmore. But it's good. It's good. I mean, I think we're all on the same page. That's the thing but at the same time, there's a good opportunity if there's not as many. In the Northwest, there are so many wholesalers, so many deals. I mean, every day, if I don't get 10 wholesale deals in my email box, then it just wouldn't be a normal day. So lots of opportunities, but there's a lot more geography to cover. You know, island is real small. So, but it's an opportunity. Every challenge is an opportunity. So somebody, you know, now that William Neverman, you're in Hawaii, you can always start up a massive wholesaling campaign too and see what you can find. There's usually always motivation. It's a matter of trying to figure out how to get there first and really be a coach and a consultant. So it'll be interesting. Cool. Anything else on that one? I want to kind of move on to Alex, man. This is going to be, it's going to be exciting. So since we're not all super talkative today, it's all good because Alex Camacho is very talkative, and he's one of the real estate investors that has been around for 19 years actually in the real estate business. He's pretty well connected. He was at the mastermind on Maui with Brandon and the guys. But he's going to share a little bit from LA about a deal that he did. He's going to walk through the numbers. He does his numbers a little bit differently, which I think is cool because there's no real perfect way to do it, if you will. Everybody's got a way that works for them. So he's going to show us kind of how he does 3 different analysis on the same deal and what that spreadsheet looks like. And what's cool is that he's really getting started now and switching gears towards more of a building capital so he can start doing BRRRRs. But right now he's more in the flip space. So Alex Camacho, welcome. And how's everything going?
What's up, you guys? Everything's going great. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you. Tell us a little bit about your space right now. So you used to be in various parts of real estate investing. Tell us a little bit about what's happening right now in your career.
Well, currently I have my own company. I have a small team. I'm flipping 2 properties. I think I'm going to get one today actually under contract. That'll be number 3. About 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, I went to go work for a really successful investor for about a year, and then another really successful bigger company for 1.5 years. So I spent 2.5 years just grinding and hustling and paying my dues. And then the last year, I've been flipping about one house on my own. So that's kind of where I'm at now. But I do have, I was in banking before when I first got out of high school for 5 years. I was in the mortgage business before it crashed, and I did really well there. Lost it all, and then real estate has kind of helped me kind of climb my way back up.
Gotcha. So how many flips have you done so far?
Well, the first investor, I was able to get him 14 in the first year. The second investment company, I got them 54 in a year and a half. They had a lot more money, a lot cheaper money too, so that was helpful. And then now with about 10 that I've done on my own, so I've done about 80.
Nice. So really, you got started by working with investors who had funds. You were the one who was sourcing the deals. Were you a realtor at the time or looking at wholesales, or how were you getting those deals?
No, the first one, I was mainly just an inside, acquisitions person, cold calling, most of the day, door knocking, specific properties. And then the other company that I worked for, I had more of a formal role where I was working as an acquisitions manager. I had an equity stake in the properties, profit or loss. And then, so it was a little bit different. And then I decided to go out on my own.
Nice, nice. So now you're on your own. You've done 10 deals, and you're right now in the process of acquiring one, which is exciting. So congratulations on that. And then you're right now in a property that you did a subject to financing for, and you're about to sell it. We don't oftentimes talk about subject to, but that's super interesting topic. Will you just give us a little high level overview of the property that what we're looking at right now is your office that you bought as a subject to, so you're about to sell it. How did subject to work for you?
Oh, sure. I'd love to talk about it because I think a lot of people being on the islands and stuff, we're in high dollar areas, same thing with the West Coast, or at least the people that are in higher markets like this. I think it's subject to can be a little bit more difficult because you're assuming that, or you're taking over that person's mortgage. And, in these areas, that mortgage amount might be a lot higher than in, somewhere in the Midwest or somewhere in a lower dollar market. So I had understood the concept. Through my acquisitions and through working on trying to find deals, I had already pitched it to like 4 or 5 people or 4 or 5 sellers. This particular property, I know the area well. I grew up nearby. It had a detached garage that I'm in now that I converted into my office. But I didn't think about that going in. I just understood that like if she said yes, I would need to do a little bit more work. So once the property owner said yes, it was a Google PPC lead. I pitched up subject to, she said yes. Right away, I went to work to talk to the mortgage company to see what the rate was, what the term was, just all the details on the mortgage that I was going to be taking over. And I found out she had a 3% fixed rate. She had got one of those rate loan modifications during the Obama administration, which was fixed. Not all loan modifications are. And so I said, this is a great deal because it was a $500,000 loan. I only had a mortgage payment of $2,000. And it was 4-bedroom house, 2 bathrooms with the detached garage. So essentially what I did is I just, took it down. I gave her, she wanted $46,000. I gave her the $46,000. I bought it for like $546,000. I rehabbed the property, spent about $40,000 on that. And then I did Airbnb on the 2 bedrooms of the 4 bedrooms that were in the front of the house because I have a lot of experience with Airbnb. Pretty much had no housing expense. And then I converted the garage into my office. So I had no office expense. And then now I'm going to be selling the property for about the mid-7s, in primary residence. So I'm going to get a significant tax break on that too. So it turned to like a loser deal because I had to buy it as a flip. If I was going to take hard money, I would have had to buy it at $500. But since I bought it subject to, I was able to buy it for the price she wanted. And that's why it all kind of worked out.
So awesome. So subject to, for everybody who's kind of just catching up, it means it's subject to the mortgage in place. So that's what subject to means. And so, Alex, you did something which is the right way to do it, is you contact the mortgage company. Some people do subject tos kind of under the table and they don't actually contact the mortgage company, which is a little bit risky. But subject to, you called the bank and said, hey, I'm going to take over this. What did you have to do to qualify to have a subject to mortgage? Did you have to do a full background check, financial evaluation, and all of that?
Well, actually, that's a great question. So the very first thing I recommend is, or at least I learned this from my short sale days, is I got a borrower's authorization, which gives me a third party the authorization to talk on behalf of the seller or the property owner or whoever has a loan. And once you have that, then you don't need that person to actually get the information from the lender. And so I did that. And once I found out the details of the mortgage, I talked to my 2 title reps. So I didn't formally assume the mortgage. Let me be clear. I basically took over the mortgage payment. Now it's coming out of my account. There is some things that you need to do. It's per state, but both of the title reps, because I didn't know how to do it. The title rep that I spoke to, both of them both said the same thing. Hey, there's a due on sale clause that you're taking a risk in the event that you transfer title to your name. Now the lender could call it due, so you're going to have to refinance or sell the property, which is a risk I was comfortable with because of the price I was getting for the property. And so anyway, and so what I basically did is I got confirmation that, hey, I can buy this property, give her what she wants, and then the lender, I do run this risk that I won't have, this is weird. I'm sorry, guys.
I was just going to say, the house you bought, you needed to do an electrical inspection, Bob, because I think you got electrical problems.
Yeah, no worries. We'll push through it. And so the title rep told me, hey, you need to, know this is a risk. I knew the risk going in. I did I got a separate insurance policy, homeowner's insurance policy that kept her on the policy. And then I knew that at any time that the lender could call the loan due. And so that would mean I would have to sell the property or refinance. And so I didn't refinance, and now I'm going to sell the property.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a really creative way of purchasing properties, especially if you're brand new, because you're not having to do a whole hard money deal. You're not having to do points. You're just doing a down payment. You're just keeping the mortgage in place. So that's super creative. Awesome. Well, let's get to the deal that you flipped. If anybody has questions about subject 2, you can throw it in the chat, and then we can see if we can answer it later. But that's definitely an option if you haven't thought about it. In fact, maybe we'll do a whole topic on subject 2 in the future. But Alex, tell us a little bit about this deal that you did in Los Angeles. It's super fascinating, and we can definitely ask you some questions along the way.
Sure. Do you want me to do the share of the numbers first or the slide?
Let's look at the pictures. That's always much more fun, and then we'll look at the numbers.
All right.
So one thing that was interesting is that you actually source quite a few of your deals on MLS, which MLS has some opportunities. And I think right now in this economic situation we're in, I always call MLS now major league specials, because those that are on MLS are looking to try to sell, and there's a lot more flexibility. So there's some good options there and opportunities.
Can you guys see my slide?
Yep.
Okay, so this is a South Central LA flip, very close to the University USC. And so we bought it for $460. We put rehab of actual $123. Holding cost, fees, resale cost was $51. Total sales price was $760. So our investor profit was $126. I was a 15% partner on that, so I made close to 20 grand on that deal. So, okay, it was one of those American craftsmen. Had a lot of character. There was a cat lady in there. I guess we had flipped the house next door, so we had our eyes on the property. So I had tried to get in touch with that seller for a couple months before it hit the market. But once it hit the market, I mean, I jumped right on it. So this is what the front looked like. This is what you see all this, I love these character homes because they have all these woodwork. Can you guys see the slide? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks so much better.
Yeah, and this is the bathroom, the master bathroom. So I don't have a lot of the before pictures. I have a lot of the after pictures. I can send you guys the link if you guys, interested. And then, let's see here. This is kind of the numbers. Okay. So this is what he was talking about before. Can you guys see my my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So I learned this from a mentor, but basically we have a base case. This is a case that we feel confident in. This is our basic numbers. The worst case is self-explanatory. It's, if everything goes wrong, but the rehab budget goes out of whack, the days held goes out of whack, everything just goes wrong. And then best case is, if everything all the stars align, everything goes well, what it could look like. So we went into this property knowing that we were going to buy it for somewhere around 460. We knew by selling the property next door that we were going to get somewhere in the low sevens for sure. Stuff this size in this area with this much character, it doesn't sell in the sixes, it sells in the sevens. And so we felt pretty good about that. And we knew, having seen inside, that we were going to be somewhere in north of six figures rehab. Typically, I don't like to focus on heavy rehabs, but when they have this much margin, then I mean, I always consider them, especially if I know the area, right? And then we thought it was going to take about 210 days, which would be, you know, the rehab, the escrow period, listing period, you know, a little bit of a pad. So these are the basic numbers here. We ended up doing a little bit, as you see the numbers I just showed, we ended up doing a little bit better than our base case, but not quite best case. Now this calculator, I like to use it because I'm able to see worst case scenario. I don't really want to lose more than like $5,000, $10,000. If everything goes wrong and I lose $5,000, $10,000, I'm okay with that. But I don't want to lose more than that. And then I want a best case scenario where, I mean, there's some room for upside potential. If I do everything right, if I, you know, I manage that rehab well, if, you know, there's a great buyer on the back end that really likes the property, because I use a strategy of list it low, let the offers flow. It's basically you always listing it as low as you think is reasonable. So I think we listed this at 674.9 or 649.9. So we're always listing it where we're going to get that feeding frenzy, a lot of buyers, a lot of activity, a lot of exposure, and you know, give yourself the opportunity to be in a bidding war, especially now with the inventory being low. So I like this calculator because we have how much cash. Right now I'm doing a lot more, like 15, 20% down. So you can, this was you know, cash buy by the previous investor I worked with, but you could calculate all that. And yeah, just some resale costs as well. Any questions about that?
What was the holding time, Alex?
The actual holding time ended up being 270 days. So
what long?
We got that done in 8 months. Yeah.
And then did you hire a general contractor in advance to give you estimate numbers for the rehab, or how did you come with that number?
Well, we got to see inside with the project manager. So I went to go, when I go to, you know, opportunities like this that are on the market, I typically like to go with a project manager or somebody I trust with that has more construction experience than I do. That way we can get an estimate right there and then, and that can help us, you know, make an offer that's a lot more accurate. So, and then we got our inspection period, which is, I typically on MLS deals, because there's so much competition, I write either no inspection period. I wouldn't recommend that on a you know, heavy rehab like this, but you know, typically I'll write like a 2-3 day inspection, because that just tells the listing agent that, hey man, like, I'm not gonna play games. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna let you know real quickly if there's a, you know, I saw something that was much different than what I anticipated, or I'm just gonna, you know, release my inspection contingency after 2-3 days quickly, so we don't waste time and we can move forward and close this deal.
Yeah, that's awesome. How many square feet was the house?
It was like a little bit shy of 1,900.
Okay, and your total ending budget was 150?
The total ending budget was actually the budget was I think the budget was 125, 135, but we ended up spending 123.
Oh, that's not too bad. So you spent about $65 a square foot on rehab then?
I don't go off of the square footage that much, but yeah, it was something like that because, well, yeah, I do $25 I calculate like on cosmetic, 50 is like on something just average, you know, normal that we typically do, and then 75 is closer to like heavy rehab like this. But yeah, for sure.
That's great. That's great. And then in terms of your numbers, you had an all cash buyer, but that in terms of the spreadsheet that you had, the 3 spreadsheets again, what's cool about that is that you've got 3 different scenarios, which I think is pretty cool, like on what's a worst, best, and the base case. But how about your ARV? How are you calculating ARV? Because I found in working with a lot of investors that we sometimes are a little bit off on the ARV, which is what throws us off in the actual deal. And so that's super important. I've only encountered just some people who are really good at ARVs and are spot on, but that's not the common. So how do you do your ARV so where you're not exposing yourself to too much risk and loss?
Well, that's kind of why I do the worst case, because I want to know if I'm completely off and maybe I missed something, you know, how much money will I lose? And if that number ends up being like, I'm losing 30, 40, 50,000, then I'm probably not going to pursue that deal very much. I'm going to submit an offer appropriate to where I would maybe lose, you know, 5 to 10, like I indicated earlier. So I would say, The ARV thing is something that you really get over experience, because like I've been in hundreds of houses, I've been in like probably dozens, if not hundreds also of neighborhoods. Also like looking at comps and looking at the pictures on in a very, very granular level is very important. Like, I mean, this is how much money you might make. You might make 30, 40, 50, 60. I mean, I drive the comps on almost all my projects if I'm in town or if I'm not out of town. As far as before I really finalize all numbers, I like to drive the comps. So I think it's just one of those things that you really need to spend the time to figure out, because that's like your very, very important number is the ARV. And, also when you drive those comps, you're able to compare like the pictures and the comps. So I'll be in front of one of the comps and I'll be looking at the pictures online just to really this could be a house like in, the hood, but I still want to know every street is different. Every house is different. You're trying to find as much as possible like for like.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good stuff. Anybody got any questions? Feel free to throw it in the chat. But super, super fascinating.
That was a beautiful rehab, though. I love the design.
Who does your design and who does that piece of it, Alex?
Well, it kind of depends, honestly. So I like it, but then like I like finding the deal. So sometimes I'll leave it up to my project manager. But something like this, like I was a little bit more involved just for the learning and because it's a character home. But some of these other cookie cutter homes, I'm not really that involved. So typically the project manager, and we have templates like, hey, we use this color, we use this type of countertop, we use this type of appliance. So it just depends on the property. I just don't want to be involved on that side of things if it's going to be at the sacrifice of finding more deals. So yeah.
What do you compensate your project manager?
Well, the project manager I currently use right now, I just pay them a flat fee per deal. And if it does well, then I'll give them a little bit of the bonus on the back end. But that flat fee typically is going to be somewhere between like $3,500 and $5,000 to manage a rehab.
So for $3,500 to $5,000, your project manager will pick out the colors, pick out the finishes, organize with the general contractor, set up the timelines, make sure everything stays on budget?
Correct.
Is that project manager with you full-time, or does he do a number of different projects?
I'd say that he's kind of full-time, but also he has other construction projects. And then I also send him construction projects based off, the referrals I get. So there's kind of a win-win there for us.
Yeah, that's a great deal on a project manager, bro. That's amazing. Awesome. Question from Tammy. Do you use the same color scheme in every house you rehab?
Similar. I wouldn't say it's the same one, but it's very similar. Maybe there's 2 or 3 different templates.
Yeah. And why do you do that?
It's just easier. People seem to think that, with these shows that, these flipping shows that, hey, you want to go in there and design, do all this, but you really want to appeal to the most amount of end buyers. You want that to appeal to the, a large pool of buyers. And if you use funky or weird colors, then they might not appeal to certain people. But also, I will say this, you want to rehab to that area. For example, in LA, there's a part of LA where it's Northeast LA. People really like backyards, and you kind of have to trick out the backyard. There's certain areas that, are a little bit more hipster. So maybe you do a little bit more of a hip, different colors there. So I think you need to pay attention to like the area that you're rehabbing in and what is selling there and what's appropriate for that area as well. And then maybe you could deviate from a standard kind of template.
That's awesome. Chris Brown wanted to know that $3,500 for your project manager, is that per month or per project at completion?
It's typically per project, but since I'm doing about 1 project a month, he knows that he's going to make with me somewhere around $5,000 almost every month. But then I don't want to have a payroll expense, not yet. So
gotcha. So you time out your project so about every single month one is completing, so your project manager is getting a paycheck on average every single month.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and that's $60,000 a year. That's not too bad. If he's got another gig of some kind, that's pretty decent cash. Are you willing to share the spreadsheet?
Yeah, absolutely. I could upload it to the Kiko Exchange or whoever wants it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That would be awesome. Then we can all kind of play around with it. It's fantastic. Other questions on the spreadsheet? Can you leave the spreadsheet up, Alex, for just a little bit so we can all kind of stare at it? It's pretty cool. I like the way you're doing it. Corey and I use 2 scenarios.
Let me show you this other scenario I'm working on today, just so you can see how it would be a little bit different. So I'm probably gonna pick up the deal for like 411. I think we can get 600,000 for it. I'm gonna need to put somewhere around 60,000 into it. So the highlighted yellow or orange, that's kind of the numbers you change right there. So I think it'll be about 135 days. I'm gonna need to put 15% down. Let's see. I'm sorry, rehab is 60, sorry. Okay, hard money points is 2. Okay, so this is the deal I'm currently working on today, but you see how I changed everything real quickly. I changed the purchase price, I changed the resale, I changed the rehab, I changed the days held. I'm putting 15% down on a hard money loan. 100% of the rehab is gonna be out of my pocket. 2 points to the lender. The rate is 9.5. I pay my listing agent 1%. So this deal has a capacity to maybe make close to 6 figures. So I'm really hoping I get this one.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a little bit about acquisition fee. When do you put a number in there and when do you not?
Oh, okay, great question. Because sometimes I have someone that gives me a deal, and then like if they're getting like 10% of the deal, then I got to calculate that in here. So this could be a percentage of the profit, or it could just be a flat fee of like, hey, I'm paying this person $5,000 to like for that deal or whatever. If they're, because I have a couple people that work with me part time in acquisitions that are not on payroll, that are out there kind of like not necessarily bird dogs, but they're my mentees, and also they're out there trying to find deals. So they're kind of like on a flat fee or like percentage of whatever we make on a deal.
Gotcha. And then are you about 5 to 10,000 or 10%? Which one do you usually go with?
Oh, well, I'm typically like at 10 to 15%.
10 to 15%. And you pay them up front or you pay them on the back?
It depends. I've kind of done both, where like, if it's a really good deal, I'll pay them up front. But typically, like I'll pay them something like a kind of like a fee up front, like $2,500, $1,500, and then with the opportunity to make more on the back end. Because I want people to be tied to the profit if possible, like I was when I worked for my other investors.
That's awesome. Do you have a contract that you send to your bird dogs and your acquisition folks that kind of outlines all that?
Yeah, I have a joint, like a joint venture kind of profit participation contract.
Nice, nice. If you wouldn't mind sharing that, if you don't want to, no worries. But if you throw it on Keiko Exchange, I think a lot of us would love to see how you word that with your acquisitions folks, your bird doggers.
Yeah, for sure. I could send that. That's fine.
That's awesome. And then, so 1% for your agent, is that a full service agent, a discount agent? How did you find them? And are they living homeless, or how are they living off 1%?
No, he also funds some of my deals. He's a broker that I use a kind of flat fee, 1%. He's a full service. So, I mean, but it's somebody that I potentially do a JV deal with on other flips in the future as well. So they're like, again, I like to go deep with relationships. Like there's kind of multiple layers. It's not just like, hey, I'm just using you and that's it. It's like I also send him like some mortgages that I don't really get any money on. If someone wants a loan, I send it to him. And
yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't see a section for staging. Do you ever stage your houses at the end?
Most of my properties are not staged because they're mostly entry level, but that one you saw, it was staged because higher. Anything over 600,000, I will stage.
Okay, and then where do you enter that into your scenario?
That's a good question. I don't have a place for it, but I might just put it, I might add a line or just put it under acquisitions.
Gotcha.
Acquisitions and just change the fee there.
Cool. And then on your down payment, do you come up with the $61,000? Do you use private money? You rob a bank?
No, typically I'll use the down payment myself, and then the rehab, sometimes what I'll do is I'll get some project loan card, I'll leverage that on some credit cards or with Home Depot cards. And then sometimes the lender is willing to do some of that as well, because all that 124,000 isn't going to be all due up front. And that's why I think people need to understand. I mean, there's phases to this money. You don't need all of it up front, but I'm working on some private money. I don't have that all kind of figured out yet for these to bridge that second mortgage in the back. And so, yeah, like I don't have that all figured out yet. So typically I use most of my money that's why I'm only buying about one house a month.
That's great. So that's good for everybody to know on these 3 spreadsheets, which are beautifully done, is that if you're going to use these spreadsheets and you're going to have private money, you'll want to add that to the expense side of it for the interest and then any costs for the hard money. Fortunately, Alex, he's pretty cash. He's got cash flow, so he's able to come up with the down payment, which is great. But that's something definitely to keep in mind for the future as well.
Yeah. Another thing I want to say real quickly before I forget is that you could save these as well. So say you make an offer on a property, it's helpful for you to save a copy of that, because if the agent or somebody calls you back on it, you could just jump on it real quick and run your numbers right there and then. And I've done that before, because speed is key, especially when you're talking about MLS deals. If an agent calls you back 2-3 weeks later, hey, this buyer didn't perform. Are you still interested? Can you come up $5,000? Well, let me check my number. Then you can get back to them like literally within minutes or on that same call.
Yeah, that's awesome. What about the pool? That's a resale cost. Is that something that you add on a pool, or what does that mean?
Oh, if you put a 1 here, then it adds some cost. It's supposed to add some cost to just for the maintenance.
Gotcha. Nice. Cool. Yeah, I love the detail of it. I think it's great as an assessment tool. Corey, other questions?
No, thanks Alex for sharing. It's always interesting to see the numbers and the before and afters, right?
Yeah.
It's very easy to read and understand as well. Anyone that just I really like that.
And where did you say you got this deal again, Alex? How did you find it?
Well, it was an MLS deal. Which deal are you talking about? The one I presented?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was an MLS deal that popped on the market, but I had already had my eye on the property because I know that area. So the minute it hit the market, I just got all over it, and then I went to the open house. Once I went to the open house, I kind of got in good with the agent. She wrote my offer, and then we ended up getting it, even though there was like a lot of activity because the seller liked that we had rehabbed the house next door, and our offer was like 20,000, 30,000 less than the highest offer, but because of our credibility and because of my aggressiveness, then we were able to land the deal.
Nice. Does anybody have any questions for Alex? Alex is in the LA area. Yeah. How far north, south, east, and west do you go from LA?
I'm in the San Fernando Valley, but I mean, I go all over LA. I mean, north, south, anywhere in LA County, I'm pretty much covered.
Do you do deals out in the Inland Empire?
Not really. That's a little bit east for me. Here we go again. Yeah. This has never happened, by the way, where my lights go out here. But my contractors are working. We're listing this property today. So I don't go that far east because I'm a little bit northwest in LA County. So Riverside and Inland Empire is like, I'd rather go to Antelope Valley, which is north of me, and it's less than an hour, which has those price points that are better than core LA.
Gotcha.
Alex, where did you say that this property that you presented was located in LA?
It's a little bit west of USC in South LA.
Yeah. Got it.
Alex, I have a question on the acquisition part. You mentioned that you kind of had your eyes on this property prior to it hitting the MLS. Like, did you ever reach out to the owners, or do you not like that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the short story of it is, we had flipped the property next door. Right before we listed the property next door, the contractor talked to the lady that was living there, and I guess there was some interest there potentially because we were rehabbing our neighbor's house. So I was told to, hey, go talk to that seller. So I door knocked it, I sent mail, I texted, I called it, I was all over it. But then she ended up just going ghost, and then apparently she died. She died in the property, and then I know I'm not laughing because I was just like I was pursuing it, and then something happened. I didn't know this though, and then it hit the market like 3-4 months later. So actually, I had my eyes on the property for like a good 5 months before it hit the market.
Oh, gotcha. Thank you.
So Alex, you didn't come to the table with any funds then, right? You leveraged it with hard money and private money. Is that what you said, or you did put up?
This particular property, the previous investor that I was working for had a $50 million line of credit. So they were cash. They bought it cash. Yeah.
Nice.
But did you guys want me to show you the rest of the tips I have for the MLS?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, let's jump right in because I know we have limited time. But so let me see. Share, and then this is because this was the we already went through that, but let me see here.
Yeah, this is awesome, Alex. The part that Alex is about to share is just kind of some thoughts that he has relative to the MLS and how do you find deals on MLS. Because a lot of people just feel like MLS is a really bad source. So, this is pretty solid.
Yeah, let's jump in real quick. I just want to share with you. Okay, so these are a couple points. I'll start with this. You need an investor's mindset. I see a lot of agents that don't think like investors. They're agents, so then like they're thinking like an agent. They're trying to get a commission. Remember, you're an investor. Think like that first and act like that first. You have to believe there's deals on the MLS. I had that limiting belief. I thought there was no deals on the MLS, and then I got to buying one house a week on the MLS. So that's a myth. There are deals on the MLS. No one investor can buy all of the MLS deals. It's impossible. I worked with a company that was buying 200 properties annually, and they couldn't do it. So believe me, it can be done. So have that mindset that you can get deals. Number two, you have to have specific and relevant questions for these agents. Don't call them, hey, is it still available? No, have specific questions about that property, at least 2 or 3, because it's gonna tell the agent like, hey, this guy's a serious, or this gal is a serious investor, serious buyer, and then, you know, just be prepared on those listings that fit your criteria to ask as many questions as you want. What I ask sometimes, I'll ask about like, hey, is there any bonus area that's not permitted? You know, hey, is it a 3-bedroom, or is there more bedrooms or less bedrooms? I read the comments on the listing and it said that you guys are not showing till next week. You know, what's the motivation of the seller? I mean, just ask specific and relevant questions to that property. Number 3, dual agency. I know in Hawaii, there's a dual agency. Out of the 50 deals that I bought in plus in MLS, 80% of those were because I let the listing agent write the offer. So, you know, however you want to ask it, I don't use that card right away, but you need to have that in your back. Hey, yeah, this is Alex. I'm calling about your listing about this. I'm a buyer. Yeah, I know. And if you're an investor and you're an agent, you're going to say, hey, I'm an agent, but I don't care about commissions. I'm just trying to buy a deal, you know? So again, you're thinking like an investor, it ties in together. And then also I got in a lot of deals where I go to the showing and, you know, they have someone else at the showing, like a colleague that will write your offer for you. And then they work something out. Because I say this sometimes, guys, there's a way that the game is played, the way you think the game should be played and the way the game is actually played. And this is the way the game is played. Like listing agents with the fixer listing wants to get paid, or they don't want to get their hands dirty and they want somebody in their office to write the offer. But if they're totally like straight arrow and they're square, then they'll let you write the offer and you could let your agent write the offer, or if you're an agent, you can write the offer. But don't go in there thinking that you're gonna write the offer. Number 4, talking numbers and soft offers. If I've already ran my numbers and if this thing has already fit my criteria, I've already rehabbed property in the area, or you know, you kind of have an ideal where you need to be at, I have no problem talking to numbers with agents. Hey, yeah, so, you know, I think I could resell the property for like $475. I'm typically spending about $45,000, $50,000 on this property. So that means I would need to be around mid threes. You know, your listing says $389. You think you might be able to get that offer entertained, or what do you think about that offer? Like, don't be afraid to talk numbers, because at the end of the day, why are you going to drive an hour to a property and when you can talk to the agent real straightforward? This is a B2B transaction. It's not B2C. Think about that. So you could be more straightforward when it comes to agents as an investor. So talk numbers and soft offers. And if they say, hey, you know what, let it sit on the market for a couple more days. Okay, well, I'm gonna follow up with you next week then. And then at least you got that out in the open, and then they'll remember you and they'll respect you for it. Number 5, any questions on any of those so far? No, okay. Number 5, speed is key, but you need to know your areas for you to be able to act quickly. I know my area so freaking well. I might have to drive an hour somewhere, but I know that area and I've already talked to the agent. I've already had a good conversation. It's worth me driving an hour there and an hour back, because, you know, it's a genuine opportunity. But I'm not going to, you know, act that quickly if I don't know my area. So I memorized a lot of zip codes. So I know areas really well. I've looked at hundreds, if not thousands of listings. You guys got to do the same thing. Otherwise, you're not going to know when a good deal hits the market. You're not going to know. So like, just know your numbers so you can act quickly, because speed is key on the MLS. Number 6, property access and viewing. If you have access to the MLS, or you see that, you know, what the property access is, then you need to be able to talk to the agent about that. Like, hey, I noticed you're going to be showing it this, or hey, I don't have an agent. Can you show me the property? Meeting agents at fixer listings for an opportunity is a high impact, like, meeting. Like, try to get those meetings and then, you know, make a good impression in that meeting. And then that leads right to number 7, which is if you have a good conversation on the phone, and then you have a good meeting on showing, and then you follow through with your proof of funds, your hard money letter, and everything quickly, then it shows that you're a professional. It shows that you're on top of your game. Like, how do you expect to compete with all these people that are, you know, other investors, other wholesalers, other people that are interested in the property if you're not on top of your game? Like, you're not going to. So just, you know, be on point. And then let's see, base hits will win relationships. So I've gotten a lot of deals, you guys, that like, you know, hey, it was a base hit. We're going to make, you know, 25, 35, maybe $40,000 on the deal. But we know that agent is very, you know, aggressive. They have, you know, they get consistent listings. They, you know, there's somebody we could work with in the future. Don't discount potentially doing a deal that you normally might not want to do if it's going to earn you a relationship. I'm not saying that to buy thin deals, but I'm saying that you need to think of it long term, because it would be very, till this day, I have people call me back that I did a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. They don't remember the investors that I work for. They remember me because I'm the one to help them get them paid. So remember that. If you're in this for the long haul, this is important. Number 9, diagnosing mispricing opportunities. Remember, you guys, sometimes these listing agents get deals that are somewhere like random, and it's hard for them to service that listing, so they want to get that in escrow quickly. So for example, they get a listing from their cousin or a family member that trusts them. They might misprice it because they don't know the area. So I ask them this, like, hey, do you know the area pretty well? Or is this kind of like a one-off listing for you? And, you know, that's going to indicate to you like, oh, no, it's just like, you know, somebody, I don't really know the area that well. Okay, cool. And so like I've had that happen a couple of times where people or listing agents misprice a listing because they don't know it that well, and they're getting so many calls from investors. It's an hour, 2-hour drive for them. They want to get that property in escrow. So again, speed is key. Get all over that, but ask if they know that area. And if they do know that area, then you could ask them, hey, what do you think your ARV is? You know, kind of like off the record. I just want to know, I'm running my numbers. I know this area kind of good. I think I could get 475. What do you think, buddy? And then again, you're having an engaging conversation with the person in charge of selling that property. That's valuable. Number 10, overpriced listings. If I feel like I need to get that property under $75,000, under what the asking price is, the listing price is, I typically won't pursue it because that's kind of been my max, like 75,000, at least in my market. So if I need to buy that property for 300 and it's listed for 375, I'll probably pursue it. But sometimes those, you got to wait till they sit on the market for a little bit. So overpriced listings, because think about it, if that agent isn't even good enough to get a good price listing, how are they going to get your lowball offer accepted? So it's more of a timing thing. I just don't pursue a lot of overpriced listings, or if I do call them, I'm saying, hey, did you pick this listing price, or did your seller pick this listing price? Because that way, you know, the seller, you know, they're a little bit unrealistic, but I'm gonna do a price stop in a couple of weeks. Okay, cool. But again, don't waste your time driving to an overpriced listing unless you've had a conversation like that. Backup and rejected offers. You know, basically, I always leave on a good note. I've gotten people call me back. You know, a lot of wholesalers won't perform. They won't send their A&D. You know, a lot of people are scared right now. So, you know, just submit offers, because there's been so many times that I got either a call back and I ended up buying that property because of me, you know, putting my best foot forward on the initial offer, or they'd call me back later on a completely different property because I made a good solid offer on one of their properties before. So don't discount making offers and being a backup or just getting your offers rejected. It's part of the game. And as you can see, number 12 is just putting it all together. It's a system, you guys. You know, you have to be attacking, you know, these listings like regularly. You have to keep your eye out. You have to have safe searches. You have to, you know, talk the language. You have to have questions. All this works together. It's a whole system to get. I mean, I don't see why you can't get a deal at least a quarter pursuing MLS deals, even in a competitive market. That's all I got.
I love it. Thanks, Alex, for sharing, man. I think there's a lot of great information in there, because I agree. Like there's deals to be had on the MLS. You know, if you don't have a realtor out there shopping for you, you know, and you have to go out there and make the calls yourself direct to the seller's agent, then, you know, these are key, you know, things to remember. And like, I agree with every single point on that. And for me, I think the major thing is when you're doing the negotiating for a deal on the MLS is to just speak confidently and know your worth, you know? So, because a lot of times when it hits the MLS, you're going to be competing against other investors, other cash buyers, right? So a lot of times for me, it's not an emotional decision, or I don't make, you know, we don't submit offers like kind of on our hands and knees begging to get it. If we don't get it, I don't care, So like when you're speaking to a realtor, you can say, hey, I'm not interested in getting into a bidding war. I know my numbers, we can perform, we can close deals where, we have strong partners, but here's my price and here's my terms. And is it anywhere close to what the seller would consider? And if it is, then let's draft up an offer. Or sometimes we can send in the offer with proof of funds or whatever you can, a cover letter describing about you as the buyer. But also I like to put like a time frame, especially if it's a competitive property. So I would say 24 hours, I'd like an answer, yes or no. Otherwise I'm moving on, because I don't want to get into a bidding war, right? I'm not gonna race to the top in price. We're not in that game. We don't play that game. That's why we don't go to the auctions either, because a lot of times it just gets overbid, right? And that's how people lose money and get in trouble. So, but thanks, Alex. Really appreciate it.
Exactly. That confidence, Corey, is so key, you guys. And maybe it's your first deal, second, third, whatever. But you need to infuse this feeling in the listing agent that like you're gonna close. You're not gonna play games. That you know what you're doing. And it's hard to do that when you're starting, but I tell you, I went to my first MLS listing, like opportunity like a couple years ago. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I had a clipboard. I looked professional. I took a lot of pictures. Later on, the agent's like, I was like, why did you give me that deal? He's like, it just looked like you know what you were doing. I was like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I acted the part. And, obviously he wrote the offer and he got accepted. And we made money on that deal. But that's just an example of just like showing up. Don't be intimidated by all the other investors. Who cares? I'm not intimidated by another investor because I don't know what what their experience level is or anything. And a lot of investors can be a little bit egotistical. They could be kind of mean. They could be a little bit rough. So you want to have that balance of like, hey, this guy's assertive, or this person's like, I think they're going to close. But, it's a balance of like, hey, I'm not going to kiss this person's butt, but you do want to be nice to them as well and show them respect. So, but confidence is key, definitely in the MLS, pursuits.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always about relationships. So you definitely don't want to like offend anybody, but also let them know that, you know your value that you bring to the table and that you'd love to do the deal. But if you don't get it, then that's fine. Best of luck to, whoever does get the deal, and then move on. Anybody got questions for Alex? I know we ran a little bit, actually quite a bit over, but it was great information. Thank you so much for sharing, Alex. And also thank you for helping out on the calls. Like, you've been a regular. Really appreciate everybody who's come every Friday. It's great to see the same faces. And I kind of had an idea earlier that maybe once every other week or something, we might spotlight somebody who would like to tell us their not personal, but their situation in business, whether they're new or, a higher level. And then we can all chime in to help solve their problem, whatever they're needing, whether it's financing, finding a deal. We can just one by one, zone in, and we all put our heads together to solve that person's problem and help get them to the next level, right? So maybe like a 10, 15-minute session to dive in real quick on one person, maybe once a week or something, or once every other week. That's just an idea I had out there. So if that's something that you guys would be interested in, we can maybe put it in the chat. And if not, no worries. Like, there's just an idea, because I know there's a lot of people here that, if we all put our heads together, we can help get them to the next level, and we can share resources to help them. So it's something I had in my mind. But any questions for Alex? I give you props, bro, because LA is a shark tank. It's super competitive. So I'm very impressed to see you out there waging battle.
I love it, man. I love it because people are just like, they're scared. They're scared, and I mean, unfortunately for me, I'm not. Like, I know I'm willing to put in the work, and I know that I'm going to perform. And then I have solid relationships, but I built those relationships. But, you just have to want it, guys. Like, bottom line, like, you have to want it and go out there and put in the work, and it'll happen. But, there's so much information out there too, with like all these, like these calls and bigger pockets and all these podcasts. Like, but the common theme of successful people is they end up taking that, information and running with it and taking action. So I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah, man. And it just, I see why you are doing deals in LA when everybody says it's too competitive. It's just like Hawaii. People say it's too competitive. There's not enough inventory. It's too expensive. But I mean, it's too competitive and too expensive for that person, right?
Yeah.
So if you're already thinking, oh, that market's too competitive, it's too competitive for you. Don't even try then.
Yeah, don't even
right?
try. Think about it. If you guys work 4, 5, 6 months for a deal, but that deal makes you $50,000, you are making $10,000 every single month pursuing that deal. Like,
right.
But if you don't even do the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months, how are you going to make that deal happen? You're not. So like, that's the bottom line. That's the way I look at it. It might take me 3 to 6 months to land a deal, but I'm going to make $50,000 on that deal. And that's going to be like, I was making $10,000 a month on that deal.
Yeah.
You guys hear that? Outwork everybody. That's what he's telling you. Outwork them. Right on, Alex.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff, man. Well, next week, we don't have anybody lined up yet. I think we might think about bringing a couple people in. I'm trying to get Brandon back on because I'm interested to hear how, what he's looking for in his mobile home park deals and what the numbers look like, and maybe do a deep dive into that. So, but it's his birthday, this week, and then he's taking the next couple weeks after that off. So it might not be till like August or so, but he said absolutely he'd love to come back on and kind of talk more about, instead of the flipping side, more of his syndications that he's doing for the mobile home parks. So we'll try to bring Brandon back on, and then a couple other guests, and possibly if you guys are interested, maybe I'll do a financing presentation next week and go over, how we finance the deals, leveraging hard money, private money, and equity, right? So, but I'll be, we're open to any discussion or, suggestion that you guys have. So thanks so much again for hopping on every Friday. It's great to see the same faces. And if nobody has any other questions, then we'll see you next week. I'll hang out for like another 10, 15 minutes or so to talk story, and wait till everybody heads off. But other than that, have a great week, and we'll see you in the Facebook group, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. It was great.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Alex.
thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Corey.
Zasha, where's Zasha going? I see her at the airport.
She's going to Oahu. She has a family.
Oh.
Is she unmuting? I don't know if she's unmuting. Oh, there.
I'm here. I just landed.
You just landed? I saw you taking off like when we started.
Yeah, I cut majority of it, so that was cool. And then I kind of cut off maybe, 10 minutes into the flight, but excited to rewatch it. But I'm here on your island.
Awesome. How long are you here for?
Till Monday. Yeah.
Till Monday. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Jin Lim, you still in quarantine? You are, huh?
Yeah. So, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, yeah. So today's my last day. I don't know if I'm supposed to stay inside all day. Today's the 14th day technically, or if I can leave tonight, because I got here at 5:30. Technically, 14 days is up at 5:30 p.m. today. At the same time, I don't want to get arrested.
Did anybody check on you?
No. Well, yeah, actually they did. They checked on me, and like 2 days in, they just called me and they're like, "Where are you?"
Oh, wow.
I'm at home. Where else?
Yeah, I heard they check on you and stuff. So
yeah, they haven't come in person or anything, so it's fine.
I'm glad you're making it out of quarantine soon.
Oh my God, I was going insane. I'm ready to get out, breathe some fresh air. I don't have a lanai here.
Oh man. Well,
been breathing AC indoor air for the
up,
last 2 weeks. It's good. It's over now. So
awesome. Well, let's see who else is on. Oh, I see Anant. Hey, Anant. I don't know if you're on, but
yeah, I didn't think I was gonna get called out, man. I'm a rookie. But thanks for having me.
No worries, man. Congratulations on your deal. Thanks for letting us fund it for you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for your help, Tyler, Corey. I mean, I was surprised, Corey. Thank you so much for giving me a call. We almost dropped out of this deal. But for those of you that don't know, Corey gave me a call and asked me to make sure I covered all my bases, and we did, and we ended up closing the deal. So we're very excited.
Yeah, what was the problem on that again? What was the reason?
So there was it was a bank-owned property, and there was like this funny clause in the contract where they were saying something like we had to hold on to the property for 1 year after it was after we sold it or after we closed on it. We have to hold on to it for a year.
You couldn't sell it for a year, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so we thought it sounded funny, but it was in the contract. But then we were going to drop out of it because of that, because we didn't want to hold on to it for that long. But yeah, you were able to give me a call, convince us to make sure that we check everything. And we did. We confirmed that that was not the case and it should not have been in there. And so we got it taken out and we closed on it.
Sweet. Yeah, nice, man. Yeah, even though like sometimes the banks, like they don't budge and their clauses are their clauses, take it or leave it type of deal. But you might as well ask, right? Sometimes it's like, well, that clause doesn't work for me because I need to be in and out of this deal definitely within 12 months. So, and they were willing to pull that clause out. So that was awesome. I think we just recorded today or yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to go pick up the keys today. We're going to start working on it tomorrow.
Awesome. Cool.
Yep.
Let's see. Dante, are you still on the line? Nope.
I was about to leave. My phone is dying. I have like 1% left.
Okay. Okay, man. I'll meet up with you later.
Yeah. I was gonna get a hold of Ashley about that person who's looking for 1031. Yeah, because the DST would actually be helpful for her too if they can't find anything. So.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, go give her a call. I think she jumped off the line already.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I gotta
see what?
The Delaware Statutory Trust. It's anyone who's doing a 1031. In case that you can't find any property, you can convert into the DST. It's a big complex. It's a hard thing to explain, but I don't know if you folks, Corey, if you guys want to get there. I know you
I'll
want
hit the Google machine. That's enough to be dangerous. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, Brian. Awesome, Dante. Well, have a good weekend, man.
All right, you too. Yeah,
How much flips you got going on?
Me? Oh, no.
Indar.
Oh.
Yeah, unmute, bro.
There we go.
I think you should.
We own 16. We have